damn, I didn't know that. I thought you were in on that one.
No. And
freaking Corione. Yeah.
And you know what? There's been some really good ones in there.
There are. Those first 3 seasons are some of the best. Season 4 is okay, and then 5 is where I stopped for a while, and then later seasons I tried. It seemed like it got funny again, but I haven't really.
I thought it was great all the way through so far.
I mean,
well, John, you are a psychopath, so naturally,
I will say my
that way.
favorite episode so far, though, is in season 2. I will say when they have to go into the battery to go fix the problem, and he tells the car to protect Summer.
That is that's one of the higher points.
Peace between episode,
worlds.
Well, the B plot, the protect Summer, was what made that episode for me.
Dude, right?
That and the one where Morty gets the death crystal.
So good.
And I mean, like, I sit there and I watch those and I'm like, despite the poop and fart jokes, this show actually is tackling real sci-fi issues. This may be what modern traditional sci-fi looks like, and that scares me a little.
Well, see, to me, this is the one that proves the idea that you don't really have to have all of the, backstory and, I forget what the word is, but, exposition. You don't have to have all the exposition for all the planets. You can have vague exposition, or you can have, where Ricky's just oh, I don't care. Morty's I really want to find all this stuff out, but I think it's the second episode, Morty's Adventure, second and third episode, and it's they go on the ideal fairy tale adventure, and then they find out the king is not ideal in any way.
Oh boy, how parallel that is at the moment, huh?
Yeah. Well,
it's literally our real life right now.
What can I say, man? You guys got yourself a political problem down there.
Anyway, we're not talking about that thing. We're going to talk about that thing in the White House, subhuman trash that currently occupies the White House.
Do you want to talk about the new Iraq 2.0, Iran?
So far away?
Yeah, they ain't running. They ain't running. They
get away. Well, okay. I am going to say this, and this is all I'm going to say about this war.
The hell it is.
Iran's response to getting bombed by the U.S. was to launch missiles at all the great powers of the world, as if to say, airstrike me harder, daddy.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody ask to get spanked that hard before, but here we are. And it's always the conservative religious types. I'm just saying.
Well, if that's what they want, I'll accept that nobody else is signing on to Trump's bullshit either. Not even Congress is with them.
Well, the French are sending the Charles de Gaulle down there, which is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The British are sending troops. And there's even talk of the Chinese sending forces down.
Against or
against. They attacked the a Chinese oil tanker.
Oh man, I guess Iran is just maximum stupid.
When the US and China are both yeah, let's fuck them up. You done fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, we still gotta get rid of the pedophile element. That doesn't change the fact that the Epstein files still need to be unsealed. So.
Oh, yeah. No, look, you guys need to hang your pedophiles in public square, but that's your business.
Oh. Come on now. Let's just start with prison and go from there.
I don't want to have to pay for his hotel suite. You guys are already...
I also don't want to have
you
to
guys
pay
are
for the
already
Secret
paying for him to
Service
live in a
interview.
house.
Although the Secret Service doesn't seem to like him either. He's surrounded himself with ice, which is weird.
I guess that just means he needs to chill out.
It needs to resign.
Listen, the only way you're getting him out of the office is going to be feet first.
It's not gonna be pretty one way or the other. It's already not pretty. It hasn't been pretty, but I didn't see that until it was... Well, it didn't make a difference because they're all just gonna cheat anyway. And that's the thing, is the Democrats were not suddenly right. That's the TDS still flows in both directions. People were in mass hysteria panic mode over any little thing that they could try to pin, and it was not out of, oh, well, we're concerned for our safety. A lot of it was out of, I want to be correct. Because that's where we're at right now with all these MAGA dorks, is they want to be correct.
You need to purge your political class.
Well,
and, get under a new political class. Might I recommend becoming the 10th province?
yeah, no. No, I'd still rather you guys become another state or even a territory, but
that just won't happen now.
No.
Yeah. That being said, I would like to be friends again instead of whatever the fuck we are now.
That's why I'm pretty much, let's just put it this way. The British invaded Washington, D.C. and burnt it to the ground and still didn't seize control of the United States because they learned that, well, we're not a federalist nation. You have several more capitals to go. And then once you take the capitals of the United States, then you have to see if the counties are going to draft legislation to approve of your seizing them, or if they're going to give you the finger, and then you have to go to every single county board of directors and topple them. And there's like more than 50 counties, let's put it to you that way.
Hey man, the British don't even have to.
Canada doesn't have 1/10 the lobbying power that Coca-Cola does.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to become a private industry long before we become part of another union.
So even if a certain crazy Middle Eastern country decides to, make its way to the other side of the world and seize DC, I don't care. It doesn't mean you won anything, because then you're up against all the state National Guards, and then not to mention the 152 to 300 million militiamen that exist in every single state.
Oh, it's not even them, dude. It's your private citizens.
Right.
It's the insane hunter posses that just roam your land.
The guys that bought guns every time a Republican or a Democrat threatened to take them away, who's got, like 50,000, rounds of ammunition ready to go. That's what you're behind every blade of grass. Doesn't matter if Yamamoto said it or not. Whoever came up with the quote, behind every blade of grass, 1,000 gajillion% correct, and why America wins. Well,
that's why 100% the way Canada convinces you guys to become the 10th province is with words and or possibly money.
Right. And Iran shouldn't have responded so quickly with missiles. That they should have built a McDonald's.
That's it, man.
But McDonald's is poisoning America.
That's a battle we can all fight and win without worrying about missiles being lobbed into our backyards.
Well, okay, hold on. And I'm going to put this out there for you. Is McDonald's poisoning America? Or is America thinking fast food every night is healthy poisoning America?
Ding, 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 ding,
Okay,
ding, ding, ding,
here's
ding,
the big problem. It is now yes to both.
Right.
McDonald's has degraded the quality of their product so much that it is also poison. And then the majority of Americans are so cash poor that they can only afford fast food because the price of all other groceries has gone up greater than fast food, or fast food has also increased greatly. So it's like I hear you, but also we've got all of these other monarchies already in America, and that's why I say that, like, even if another nation were to take DC or LA, like, the rest of the United States would very quickly be swallowed up by the military-industrial complex and its subsidiaries.
Well, that implying that you guys aren't already owned by, like, the Rand Corporation.
Right. There's a reason why
I mean, like, there would be flags, like there would be the Coca-Cola flag flying in some states, and the Monsanto flag flying in like 12 others.
Yeah, fair. That being said, you guys have to come up to Canada, man.
Yeah.
Our McDonald's has actually got, like, they're required legally up here to print what the ingredients content and the health content of their food is, like in the calorie count and everything else. So they actually had to really clean it up. So we've actually got, like, real beef in our burgers up here.
Yep.
Dude, that's what I mean, that they had to clean it up.
Yep.
Tonight, we got quite a bit to talk about with regards to The Matrix possibly being rebooted, as well as, man, a whole bunch of stuff going on with Starfleet Academy, and we're going to conclude tonight talking about why we live Star Wars.
Did you say Starfleet Academy?
And welcome once again to tonight's Entertainment, Information, Intelligence podcast. I am joined by the ever-so-lovely Mr. Pollo Zapatos over there to my that side. And, well, he's up there, geographically speaking, but down here in our hearts, or no, here on the video, something like that.
I think I'm actually more closely located near your pancreas at this point.
Mr. Canada Man himself, it's Corione, Witch in Residence.
Hey, guys.
Good evening. What's new? What's going on? What do we got to complain about today before we complain about the things we have planned to complain about?
Hey, man, I'm 2 weeks away from a 4th season of Invincible. I'm actually doing pretty good.
Shit, we still have to finish season 3. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that in the upcoming discussion section of the of the podcast, which actually, strangely enough, is gonna be right the flip now. Here, if you have money in 2026 and can still pay for streaming, this is what's coming up on Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and more. Many streaming services have started 2026 strong with some of their new... I'm gonna have to... Really? Really? It's been a strong start in 2026? Shit, what the hell have we been watching? Many streaming services have started the new releases this February. HBO Max has Game of Thrones prequel and Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Okay, that one I actually am looking forward to. Did it come out already?
It's already out.
Balls.
Season finale. It's awesome.
Well, Disney Plus has the new Marvel series, Wonder Man, which, Pollo, you've said has actually been really good, and we should probably...
Yeah.
So, guys, you want to watch Wonder Man for next week, along with Star Wars? Let's see. There are also several shows from 2025 that have just won big awards this season, including The Pit and The Studio. I haven't seen those either.
Yeah.
At the time, there are many other shows that have captivated audiences, including Stranger Things Season 5, the second season of Fallout, and Pluribus. Yeah, Pluribus is without a doubt amazing. I've thoroughly enjoyed the second season of Fallout, except I guess a bunch of people think it was like pro-communist propaganda. It just seems like any time one human decides to work with another, regardless of your political leaning, whether it's up, down, left, right, triangle, or square, but, like, it's... A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, currently running its one season, 100 years before Game of Thrones. Oh, man. The wandering hedge knight Sir Duncan, Peter Claffey, travels through Westeros with his new squire, Egg. Though Duncan is not the sharpest or shiniest sword in the shed, he wins the hearts of those around with his genuine desire to do good and protect the innocent. Duncan eventually finds himself facing off against House Targaryen after getting into a fight with the evil Prince Aerion, setting off his journey to becoming a legend. While there are no dragons, White Walkers, or magic in this prequel, do not tempt me with a good time. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms presents a thrilling, comedic, and heartfelt underdog story set in the world of ice and fire. Stream A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms on HBO Max. Well, I'll get around to it. So what do you guys think? Should we go late to the party ourselves with that one? Maybe look back at that one, March or April time frame?
I mean, I'm not inclined to get involved in another George R.R. Martin show.
Well, it's not George R.R. Martin, though. I don't think he actually has anything to do with this one.
Yes, it
He
is.
actually had the most to do with this one because the director actually took it to him.
Well, okay, but it's not based on one of his books, though. It's just based on...
Yeah, it is. It's based on the Duncan Egg books.
Oh, I didn't know there was a series, so
Yeah, he wrote that series instead of giving us the book we actually want.
Oh, so you just don't want to do it because you're mad.
Yeah, basically, I don't want to give George R.R. Martin any more oxygen than is absolutely necessary for him to finish the goddamn book, George.
Well, maybe he needed to... Okay, you know what? Maybe we need to watch this side quest and see why, maybe as a writer... You are a writer yourself now, Corio, and you know what it takes to write an actual novel. I mean, how long did your book take to write, anyway?
Significantly less time than The Winds of Winter, George.
Yes, but that's one book out of... And how many have you scored an HBO deal with yet? I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying at this time.
No, because I focused on my book, George.
Right. So to support your stance and your arrogance, you just made the case that you just dug your hole even bigger and wider and deeper. Like, we have to review this now.
Dude!
We have to review the side quest.
While putting in a car park in ancient Mesopotamia, they found a new tablet that contained additional stories in the Epic of Gilgamesh. So what we're saying is Gilgamesh got a freaking sequel before we got Winds of Winter, George!
Yeah, we're reviewing that show. That's going on the list.
Damn.
But hey, John, before I read this article's perspective, why don't you tell us why you have found such... Oh, I'm gonna shoot myself for this one. Wonder with Wonder Man.
YMCA. No, so Wonder Man is a lot of fun because I didn't know there was an old one. And I'm getting so tired of the idea of like a reboot from the 90s. And so this one wasn't from the 90s. This one was even older, so I definitely didn't watch it and wasn't going to.
Dude, I'm sold already, man. You got me excited as shit.
I'm such a fan of the idea of like modernizing the MCU. Like actually relating real life problems to the superhero class. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard from me recently, but I've talked about this book called Worm.
Yes.
Which is the most words in a single book ever. And it's something like 1.5 million words or like 1.1 million. I can't remember. And this book is all about the intricacies of living in a super world. And so to like see different versions of that actually playing out, especially since Iron Man comes out and says, I am Iron Man. Like all the other heroes were just folktales until Iron Man showed up, and then everyone's like, I bet you there's more. And then the Avengers showed up and people are like, I think I know of ones we haven't talked about yet. And that's what The Boys kind of illuminates in a lot of ways with the idea of like, what if it was a varsity league? And that's very similar to Worm because they do have a varsity league. But Wonder Man is a lot closer to Worm in the opening of Worm, where it's about a hero who knows he has powers but knows no idea what to do with them. And then he's also a guy that grew up in LA. And so his big thing is he wants to become a movie star, and he always has his whole life. But like it turns out that other superhumans throughout the years may or may not have messed it up for everybody else.
We got to take a quick
It's
pause.
Funny, that story.
Take a quick pause from this monologue to bring us a sponsor comment from Griffin DBK. Says, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms was good, even though it was based specifically on The Hedge Knight by George R.R. Martin. So...
Okay, no, it's phenomenal. So this is to my greater point, like, for both of these stories, they're the same thing. They're not about the main character anymore. But also, in the real world, there are no main characters.
You're saying that for this one, for Wonder Man as well?
Yeah, Hedge Knight and Wonder Man. Like, Wonder Man has a great power that, like, even in the show, barely gets tapped. It is honestly like a 6-hour origin story. And you're like, oh, right, things happen over time. But then, like, the organization of events actually turns this dude into a potential superhero. And so it really feels like there's more escalation and more room for growth because they didn't go to the nth degree. Like, he didn't fight any parademons by the end of the season. He didn't even fight an alien yet. Like, honestly, he barely fought at all, if I can remember right. And so, like, that's what makes this story way more fun, is it's like, okay, now we're actually going to slow down and tell the journey again. We know we're repeating ourselves, but here's the thing, setting matters. And the same applies to the Hedge Knight. It's like, a lot of people loved Game of Thrones, not necessarily for the dragons. Like, when people found out there were dragons, they loved the knights even more, because they were like, oh, those guys kill dragons.
Yeah, but you know what I would have loved even more than, dragons or knights? Finishing Winds of Winter, George.
And this is the point to that.
You're gonna have to validate the criticism by watching The Good Knight. We're gonna have to watch it. But real quick, Dahlia Lightwood says, hey everyone. Hey Dahlia, good to see you on the horizontal side. Of course, y'all could see the chat on each other's respective screens there, so everybody's chats gets consolidated, but I should probably make the one on the vertical a little bit bigger, legible, and then figure out something on the horizontal to change that. But anyway, thank you guys for chiming in. We will continue to try to monitor your comments and interact as best we can.
But here's the greater point. So
back to John's 30-minute monologue. I'm gonna bust out a guitar solo while he does this, actually. Oh man, my guitar's
just riff that. No, but so the bigger point to me is the idea that George R.R. Martin got railroaded by HBO getting so many views when the dragons started getting more prevalent to the story. And that's also where George R.R. Martin had stopped writing or hadn't gotten to yet. And so that's where HBO and their writers started going, well, we're going to write what the fans want, not necessarily what George is thinking in his head. And I think the Hedge Knight is like George saying, this is what I write, guys. Like, I don't write dragons and White Walkers. I write knights in a complex world dealing with complex problems while also trying to maintain their honor. And that's what Jon Snow was doing in the books. But, like, all of the HBOification of this story got butchered. But if we show our support for the Hedge Knight, then George goes, oh, HBO's retarded. My fans did like all of the actual knights being knights. They did like the kingdom more than just the dragons and the White Walkers. I'm going to finish my story. But, like, I feel like it's a lot like George Lucas, like, trying to one-up himself. In George's case, he's like, well, I don't write dragons, so I'm not going to. See, and that's why he can't finish the book.
Right, that's the thing. It's like, is this because he's that's why it's like, yes, we all want him to finish his story, but as somebody who's now going on, almost now the 6th year of not having written a sequel to Galaxia, like, I kind of empathize with it, and I'm curious to see if maybe, he had to do this side story, because, ironically enough, while I do have the sequel on mind, I've had this idea for a side quest within my universe to go right, and maybe I need to go write the side quest.
Do not be the side quest guy. Don't do it. Finish the main series first. Don't be that guy.
Well, we'll see. All right, on the vertical side, we have at Zebra Streak Barbecue saying, Pollo Zapatos told me at a party in 2023 that he does not wipe his butt because there's nutrients in his poop. That sounds very much 2023 Pollo Zapatos. That tracks. Dahlia Lightwood says, I heard Chris Pine quit the Star Trek franchise after saying he basically wasn't a fan of the new direction the shows are taking.
No, he's not doing another Star Trek movie because money.
That's very likely what it is, but I could see for publicity speaking, that's probably the statement he'd put out. And honestly, that's actually a pretty good excuse, and we'll get into Star Poop Academy later.
I mean, the inside baseball was the original, was it Trek 4 from the reboot, was going to involve Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine interacting with each other. Chris Hemsworth playing Kirk's father.
Right. There was going to be like a time travel thing, dream sequence or something with the Guardian or something. And yeah, they were either going to like reset the timeline and in the Kelvin universe for good, or have it go off on its own adventure, but never to really be... If they were ever going to do stuff in the Kelvin universe, it'd be something else. And you know what? Discovery, for a second, looked like it was going to be Kelvin universe. And here's the f***ed up part, is that if it was Kelvin universe, most people would not hate the Kurtzman timeline quite nearly as much. If they had said that it was another alternate timeline, and there was more time, foolery or whatever. Like, let's say that Chris Pine interacting with his dad version in the Kelvinverse is what somehow sets Spock on having an adopted sister. Spoilers for Discovery Season 1. It's just... It could have been okay to do it that way, but they didn't. They wanted to try to make, no, this is the new canon. We are the new Star Trek. We are the... Oh.
Now, what I was going to say was, they originally... Chris Pine had it in his contract that if he was to appear in Star Trek 4, he would make $4.5 million. And what they tried to do was offer Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine a total of $4.5 million. And both of them went, no.
I'll talk to Shatner about having AI transposed on my face. And we'll see if the Nimoy family will sign off on John being Spock and you can be Scotty. And we'll just do it. 4.5 million?
Actually,
I'll split that with you guys. Okay.
I actually want to be a completely different character. I'll be a replacement for Scotty. I'll be Welshie.
Good one. I don't want to share 4.5 million. I want my own 4.5 million. Fucking bitches.
I mean, Chris Hemsworth by that point was Thor.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Like, I feel like 4.5 was his regular offer at that point. I don't know for sure, because I don't actually track any of those stats, and they don't have baseball cards. But I feel like Christopher Pine even was worth more, because he's like, yeah, I just got off a Star Trek trilogy. I'm not going to sit here and, deal with this group again. Because they hated all three of the movies.
That's it. So, all right.
Yeah, well, that's why I like actors like Samuel L. Jackson, who really mostly do roles they like because they like the role, not just because there's a paycheck attached. Like,
are you kidding? I'm convinced Samuel L. Jackson, just every script that comes his way, he just accepts.
Why not?
He's like the yes and actor.
Like what?
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's what his deal is.
I
throw
get
a script to him, he'll do it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what a bored Jedi does.
Right.
No, that's See, I respect people like that. Same with people like Sam Witwer. You know, he's not necessarily getting promotions in Lucasfilm right this second, but he, you know, when asked to work on the Mall Shadow Legends, didn't even friggin' hesitate. Same with Henry
no blame,
Cavill.
just go.
Henry Cavill's a fan of the series. He didn't want to leave The Witcher because of frickin' money. He left because of the friggin' stupid politics and the disagreements on set.
Yep.
And so it's like, that's it. Just, if that's the value that you want to reduce yourself to is money, that's your decision. But at this point, you know, yeah, I get that you got bills to pay, but fuck, you know, $4.5 million would pay all my bills, and then I could start flying my friends and family out to come party with me in Key West. But I guess that's too much to goddamn ask for. Anyway, Dahlia Lightwood says, I'd rather see new characters. What?
So that's because you don't have castle debt like Nick Cage.
Right. That's why I like TNG and also Voyager. They removed this story forward. Yeah, and that's, you know, we'll get into Star Poop Academy in a bit, but yes, there's elements of it I liked in progress, but comparatively, Anyway, I'm gonna switch to my phone and play some CS2. Says Simon Dust 64. Nice. We'll see you on the horizontal side, or the vertical side.
Yep.
No, not Welshie, says Griffin DBK on the vert.
Nice.
Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, I'm so over remakes, reboots, and nostalgia bait. Audiences are barfing up nostalgia, but studios keep shooting it out. People want new content. Stay tuned. We got a story just for you. Where's my camera again? Anyway.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. The Burbs is a remake of a Tom Hanks comedy of the same name. It's also streaming on Peacock, and that is the last of the new 2026 shows. Star Poop Scatcademy season
1
2
is getting a season 2.
Well, is it? Because we've heard that production was halted, but I hadn't heard it.
After it had gotten season 2 in the can.
Okay. We already know Starfleet Academy has been renewed for a second season. Starfleet Academy received an early season 2 pickup from Paramount Plus before it even premiered, which was a stupid idea there, Paramount. Yeah. What happens after season 2, however, is far less clear. No, it's not. The show's
it's done.
Viewership numbers haven't been especially strong, and they're not going to pick up anytime soon. And fan reactions have been mixed. Just look at ours. Yeah. Leaving its long-term future uncertain. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call its future right now. It's done. Kurtzman Trek is probably finally done, which it needs to be done. The only good things to come out of Kurtzman Trek were Picard Season 3. Picard Season 3.
I disagree on that.
Why?
I didn't like Picard Season 3.
Oh, I mean...
I liked Strange New Worlds Season 1 for the most part.
And I only liked episode 1 of season 1, and it was okay throughout, and then it had its, cheesy moments, especially with episode 8, but then it just...
Yeah, it was decidedly average through season 1.
Yeah, no, I'd have to say that TNG Reunion Special was a bit more...
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it.
Well, you might need to be due for a re-watch that if you want to try it one more time. But otherwise...
No, I really don't. There was nothing in there that... Listen, other than nostalgia bait, what did that season have?
Other than nostalgia bait?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't quite nostalgia bait. It was nostalgia executed the way that nostalgia makes sense to try to set a new pace forward, because I felt like we had a new... We didn't quite get a lot because we had 10 episodes to work with. And
but now you're making excuses for it, right?
Well, no, the excuse is that it's on the back of Picard Season 1 and 2, which was already uncertain to begin with. And going based off of the trash that it was built on, it wasn't... wasn't DS9 Season 5, but I wouldn't say it was anywhere as terrible as TNG Season 1 or 2 either. It was definitely in there, just not... I liked it better than all of the Picard movies. I would rather sit down and watch Season 3 of Picard than Insurrection or freaking Nemesis.
Actually, I really liked Insurrection.
It's
And
not,
I would actually argue that Insurrection was the most Trek movie there has been.
I would say it's beyond. At least as far as TOS, I would say that compared to the Next Generation, yes, Insurrection's the closest movie that gets there. Generations feels a little too ham-fisted. First Contact is...
First Contact, I would say, is my second place, actually.
It's a good one, but it's also not without its flaws. Like, time travel was Plan B. Okay. Like, there's a bunch of headcanon retcons you have to do to make First Contact, Insurrection, Generations is hopelessly lost. I've tried to headcanon that one as much as I can, and even then, it was just like, no, there's too many plot holes and inconsistencies for it to make any sense. But Picard Season 3 did a lot to... It was a bit of an experiment in writing where Terry Matalas used, 3 blocks of mini arcs to tell the overall story. And him being a fan, a lot of his ideas made sense. Why would there be this rogue group of changelings out there? Well, because some of them were a little bit happy about, being in Section 31's concentration camp. So I felt that Terry did a great job in executing the story as far as what he was building from, what he was trying to build towards, and I felt that we would have definitely gotten a better show out of Star Trek Legacy than what we have gotten with Starfleet Academy. I am confident in saying
that I will agree
Terry
with.
Matalas is a much better showrunner and writer and producer, and even though you might not agree with his execution on Picard Season 3 overall, to me it had enough really good moments. It also did some new moments to try to fit in and kind of make it hip, like the Enterprise flying through the giant Borg cube and then swooping in to pick them up. That reminded me like something out of Halo 3 when you experienced something similar. But you never played Halo. Fans don't get to experience that. So I got to share something similar in that moment with Star Trek fans. So it has a lot of really awesome moments, but it tries. Whereas Picard Season 1, I also didn't watch Picard Season 2. Did you watch Picard Season 2?
I know I did, but I think I gave myself sufficient brain damage to forget it.
So, yeah. We'll just get back to the Picard discussion later. Oh, hey, that killed 10 minutes. Awesome. I couldn't get past Picard Season 1. He's such a boring character outside of TNG. The books about him are terrible. I would have to say that, yes, Picard Season 1 is absolutely the most garbage thing with a Star Trek name attached. Now, I'm sure Section 31 is worse, but Section 31 is a movie that ends in 2.5 hours. Picard Season 1 is 10 episodes of slop. Yes, he's so preachy and philosophical, and the overarching in the show was off the charts. Yep, overacting, excuse me. Even the best actor couldn't have done some of his stupid lines justice. 1000% agree. Like, Picard Season 1 is the reason that I did not watch Season 2. So I went into Picard Season 3, which if you are a fan of The Next Generation, absolutely watch it. Just watch a quick synopsis on YouTube of Picard Season 1 and 2. Get like your, 10-minute freaking breakdown points so you don't feel totally lost. But then Season 3 it's worth it because it gave us, we at least got the crew of the Enterprise reunited on the bridge. Versus, Star Wars, which didn't give us Han, Luke, and Leia back in the Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, Season 2 of Starfleet Academy, yeah, we'll see what happens. On to another controversial show. Are you a Doctor Who fan, Corione?
I was.
Yeah. Oh, man. BBC teases new streaming partner for Doctor Who as show's future affirmed as a treasured brand. So, at least we know that the people who own Doctor Who understand that they can't just simply let it go away or die. But the question is, who's going to run it now? While Doctor Who is set to return this year for a Christmas special, its future beyond that is still up in the air following the end of a deal with Disney, and now the director of BBC drama has teased a potential new partner. BBC announced last year that its deal with Disney had come to an end after partnering on 26 episodes of Doctor Who, which amounted to Shudigawa's 2 seasons and spin-off The War Between the Land and the Sea. While the BBC has continually confirmed its commitment to the Doctor Who following the end of that deal, there are questions about how the show will be funded. So now that the BBC is set to partner with HBO on Richard Gadd and Michaela Cole's new shows, Lindsay Salt, director of BBC drama, was asked whether that partnership could potentially extend to Doctor Who. They haven't ruled it out, and yeah, there's more to this article, but
look, realistically, Doctor Who needs to sit in a fallow state for at least 5 or 6 years, and they really need to sit down and do some math and some hard thinking about really good episodes they can do, and stop trying to fill it with schlock, with sitting around a coffee table, discussions about feelings in hallways, and so forth. They really need to get back to what made Doctor Who good, which is basically what if Rick and Morty but serious.
Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, probably more Picard and some stupid Ferengi plot, the species I give 0 Fs about and they're so annoying looking. Well, if that's how you feel, there is a scene in Picard Season 3 with a certain Klingon character I think you'd really enjoy. A lot of people really enjoyed that moment. I know I sure as hell did. Harry Potter. Cillian Murphy set the record straight on Voldemort casting rumors once and for all. I'm categorically not playing Voldemort. All right. There it is. He's not playing Voldemort.
Well, no, the reason why this is important was the casting of him was extremely controversial. So the fact that they're fixing that is very, very good.
Oh?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, let's just say Snape wasn't going to be the only dark wizard. And making all the actors that they had signed on who are black playing villains was probably not a good plan.
Well, okay, but Cillian's not playing him either.
Yeah, but there was a bunch of options, right? That Cillian Murphy, it's good that he's not. There's been a lot of people that have been discussing who was going to play it, and I'm glad that it's still up in the air. That's what I'm saying is good. Because
Okay.
they've tried a few and none of them have been acceptable so far.
Cillian Murphy probably would have been just fine. I mean, you're talking about Oppenheimer as well as an entire list of.
I know,
just
but
work that
he's still not the right person for the role. You got to get somebody decidedly terrifying, right?
Honestly, the way I've watched movies and shows since we started this podcast, it seems that the most surprising thing that people do is when they step out of their stereotype roles and actually into things that they don't typically like, that they can shine. It could also be a total disaster, but I mean, Cillian Murphy, I think he does have that. I mean, just in his natural look, I think he could pull it off without too much makeup. I mean,
well,
then again, maybe
we'll
he's
see.
too old now to play a young, what is it, Tom
Character.
Riddle?
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on then.
Silo Season 3. Everything we know about the upcoming return of the hit Apple TV Plus sci-fi show. I don't want to get too much into this because if there's one thing I am disappointed in us doing is falling off the bandwagon with Silo Season 2, and I think that was just due to scheduling conflicts and then work, and then we just fell behind on the availability of Silo Season 2. After over a year of waiting, Silo Season 3 will finally hit Apple TV in 2026. Although the sci-fi show's second season still doesn't have a release date, we know that filming wrapped in mid-2025, meaning that star Rebecca Ferguson has quite the year on top of Dune Part 3, The Magic Fairway Tree, and AI thriller Mercy. Let's see. Oh, we don't have a hard release date yet, and plot spoilers I don't want to get into too much. But are you guys excited for Silo season 3?
I am. I enjoyed the hell out of it so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apple has yet to disappoint with the good ones. The sci-fi, even the soft sci-fi, is phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know that there's an Apple TV show I've hated yet. Like, maybe stuff that's been like, maybe not for me, but yeah, I'm not so
Yeah,
keen.
it's good. It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah.
All right, Dahlia Lightwood, the story you've been waiting for. Drew Goddard shares a huge update on his long-rumored plans to reboot The Matrix. On April 2024, we first learned that The Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times at the El Royale filmmaker Drew Goddard had signed up to helm a new Matrix movie for Warner Bros. Rumors of a reboot or spin-off have persisted for years, and while we're still in the dark about which category this will fall into, the hope is that it ultimately marks a return to form for the franchise. Hey, here's an idea for return to form. Let's just re-release the first one in theaters every 5 years. Because you guys obviously didn't watch the fourth Matrix movie, which, clearly was about the whole problem with nostalgia porno indulgence. Now, I know I talked about that while talking about Picard Season 3 and all that, but to me, Picard Season 3, just like Star Wars Rogue One, is a fine balance of bringing in what makes sense for the nostalgia, but then trying to build the nuance out of it. Now, like I said, with Picard Season 3, it was more finishing up one show and trying to get a Star Trek legacy, whereas Andor used elements of a galaxy far, far away that were already established, but didn't overbear us too hard with all the nostalgic references. Solo, another good example, using a legacy character and doing a pretty decent plot of his history. It wasn't awful, it just... Well, no, to me, I thought it was great. Other people didn't like it for their reasons. That's fine. I just still think Solo's really good and worth your time. Let's see. Cribbing DBK says, meh, Apple's foundation isn't worthy of the name. Still doesn't agree with Poyo on whether or not that show improved. Let's see. Cribbing DBK says, in retrospect, the whole TNG crew should have just been unalived at the end of Insurrection. It would have been kinder in the long run. Well, actually, in Star Trek Generations, every single person actually dies. And Picard does not go back and save them. He goes back in time, and then Kirk appears. At that point, a new timeline has started. So, the TNG crew pretty much already did die, and the only original from, the Next Generation Season 7 is just Picard. Anyway, nerd time travel. Shout out to that crazy Captain Timey-wimey guy who comes here from time to time. Dahlia Lightwood says, bleh, barfs. Yeah. I was never into The Matrix. The first movie was okay. I'm not that into non-space sci-fi. I hate most post-apocalyptic crap, and I was just never into it. I just want new movies and new shows and new ideas. Pluribus.
So I really enjoyed
Granted,
the
it's
first
not...
Matrix
well,
movie.
actually, Pluribus is space sci-fi, technically. Anyway, go ahead.
I really enjoyed the first Matrix movie. I think the attention to detail in every little component of the background, I think the way the set design, the costumers, the premise was all really, really well done. I just wish they hadn't made a sequel. I think it deserved to stand on its own right then and there the way it was.
I have to agree. I don't think we needed to do more Matrix movies. I think they are there. They're done, and I think that's what 4 was trying to hammer on the point was that it's time to move on. Raven DVK says, I'm well aware of the TNG timeline. Thank you very much. Well, I'm glad we agree on those particular details. So, yeah, so we're talking about a new Matrix and a return to form. Return to form to me is movies and shows that, can take place in the Matrix, but don't have to involve these characters.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, the Matrix Revelations, the animated shorts that they did, in that universe, was the perfect way to do any sort of sequel stuff that you wanted to do in the Matrix verse.
Yeah, totally. And this concludes the pop culture briefing for tonight's podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends. All right, it is time to talk about. Yes, I'm gonna put the banner up there. Corione, what did you think of this week's episode of Star Poop Scatcademy?
You know that saying, be careful what you wish for?
Yeah.
I really wanted them to address the fact that the Betazoid character did some pretty terrible fucking shit. And they did! They just did it in the worst way
Stupidest possible way we could figure out. Yep.
This is an episode where, you know how, like, almost all Trek has, like, an A plot and a B plot? The B plot was actually way better a concept than the A plot here. Like, I actually did enjoy the B plot a fair bit. With Sam going to have to go home to get repaired and the emotional components with the doctor, that worked. That worked really well. Why was that not the focus of the episode? Instead, we got a really dated movie, or a really dated episode involving a play that even drama nerds are not particularly fond of, right? Our Town has kind of always been like a scene, at least by the drama nerds I hung out with, as pretty self-indulgent. And, then deciding, like, the most self-indulgent show on television decided to do an episode about it kind of tracks, right? Like, this was just the worst possible examination of trauma I've ever seen on film. Star Trek has never done dealing with character trauma very well, and they have continued that proud tradition here. That's really, at this point, that's all the words I'm willing to waste on Academy.
Some of you may have noticed when a new Star Trek show releases, I'm usually one of the first to watch it at midnight and give my initial reaction as soon as I possibly can. I have not given a, live quick reaction to this show since it stopped. Or since episode 5, because I haven't quite been into it. And I'm going to be honest, I watched half of this week's episode, and then I had to go to work, and then I was so excited to watch the rest that I haven't gotten to it yet.
And I
So-
at episode 5.
John hasn't watched an episode since episode 5. So, we're thinking that in the interest of torturing ourselves in one final fell swooping setting, we are going to postpone Starfleet Academy until the last episode has aired. And then after that episode has aired, that following Tuesday, we're going to just have watched all of them, binge the rest of this thing, and then we're gonna give our final thoughts on it, and then decide whether or not we're gonna come back for season 2 or whether or not we expel Starfleet Academy.
I know where my vote is currently.
Oh my gosh. And to touch back on Dahlia Lightwood's points, there are elements of this show that I liked that work. First of all, it's not bleak and dreary the way that the Kurtzman universe has been since Discovery Season 1. We did see a little bit of bridge lights come on in Strange New Worlds, but I'll be honest, the optimism actually felt a little better in this show coming out of the gate. But that was it. Like, I hate to say it, the pilot episode, and I think episode 4, with the Klingons, were like the high points. And if by high points... How you doing, cat? If by high points, you mean like up here at the top of my screen is high, we're like hills.
Yeah.
Maybe little moles, mounds, and dirt. So, honestly, I just... If this was what we had in 2017, bit of a different reaction, I think. I think I would have been more patient with it. I would have probably, but that's the problem, is we didn't. We started with trying to change the formula. Like, Star Trek doesn't work on changing certain aspects of the Star Trek formula. One, ensemble cast. That's why Starfleet Academy started working right away, was it's not just a, following one or two characters. It is actually supposed to be about everybody. We got a little bit back into that in Strange New Worlds. That's why Strange New Worlds was kind of working, but then they started focusing too much on single character arcs, on full episodes. And again, it's because these shows only have 10 episodes to work with. That's, these mini seasons are not helping in either. But at the same time, you got to figure out how to tell your story with the time that you've been given. And so it's really sad to see a show with the budget of Starfleet Academy and realize how we could have, maybe put that into Star Trek Legacy, or even just a whole new Star Trek show. And it's like this is all just wasted potential. These actors are good. I think they're all going to have decent careers going forward. I don't think that Star Trek is
after
going
watching
to...
this, I don't know if they're going to be perfectly honest. You're only as good as your last thing. I think they're going to wind up having to be, try to put this behind them.
See, the thing is, the show isn't bad the way that Discovery was bad.
Is bad. I agree. It's a totally new version of bad.
It's one that could change. It was more, riding the lines towards TNG season 1, season 2, but then we started dipping back into the Discovery formula, and that's what's really kind of hurting the show at this point. And then, the way we're going to deal with therapy is oh my gosh, that Discovery character that literally almost everyone universally despises because they were forced to, no, you have to like Tilly. Tilly's silly. If you don't like Tilly, you have fat phobia. No, maybe I just have unhealthy phobia is really what it comes down to, because, well, you know what, I used to be fat.
Look, I don't really particularly care about her weight. I care about the fact that she is toxically positive.
Yeah. 8 out of 10 students asked that question. 2 of them go on to be captains. Uh-huh, yeah, totally. And what are you right now? Oh, that's right.
Lieutenant.
A Starfleet washout. But I will say, she did look, more healthy this time. Definitely, which is good. I mean, honestly, the thing for me is, it's not a superficial thing as much as it really is just from a personal experience, having ballooned up to, I think, what I hit 260. I know I never got to 300 pounds. Think the Lord's above and below. But man, oh man, did it just come down to looking at myself in the mirror and realizing, why did we as a society allow us to get this far? You were talking about toxic positivity, talk about toxic body positivity that a lot of just toxic Discovery fans tried to shove down our throats because, that's part of the message. And honestly, it just...
And look, I had no problem with the physical appearance of the actress, whether she was large and in charge or, at her ideal weight for her. It doesn't bother me. What matters to me is the writing on point? Does the plot make sense? Right. Does the character make me want to, lift them up and celebrate, or want to vomit? And Tilly makes me want to hurl, not from her appearance, but from the terrible writing behind her.
The terrible writing and the nails on chalkboard acting in every scene that she is in. So I just I can't deal with the character anymore. It's so ridiculous. James Caserta says ugly phobia, lol. Yeah. Hoya Corion. Yes, that's what it is. I have ugly people phobia. I cannot be around ugly people. That, of course, means I can't be around myself, because then I am therefore the ugliest. Yeah, so I think we're going to postpone Starfleet Academy. I'm going to check. I hope it's only 10 episodes. Please only be 10 episodes.
It's only 10 episodes.
Okay, so we will not be talking about Starfleet Academy next week. We are probably only going to be talking about Star Wars next week, if I'm being honest. Star Wars and pop culture. And then on the 17th is when we will just finish. John, I don't care if you watch it in 2x speed, but we do have to suffer through that. Just kidding.
Oh yeah, I'll get it done for sure, all in one fell swoop.
Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, there's something said about actors being hot, good looking, and people sell, period. Yeah, it's that they sell, but the reason is actually totally understandable. It's not that hard to put down the cookie, pick up a carrot. As long as you do enough carrots and not as much cookie.
The problem is too, like, you know, you also don't want the show looking like a Russ Meyer film, right? Like, you want something in between. You know, like, I'm okay with ugly people on screen so long as it makes sense for the character. I'm okay with larger
Star Trek
on
is very
screen.
good at that. Like, they're very good, and they're very good at showing, like, the alternate perspective. Like, the way that the Duras sisters get disgusted when they see Crusher on screen. They're like, oh, human females are so repulsive. And I'm like, okay. but that's what makes sci-fi awesome, is that it's like, no, it really comes down to personal preference at the end of the day. But even then, like I said, there was even in the universe, you know, why does Worf think that the fish people are a handsome race? Well, because something about ridges on faces is what's attractive to Klingons, and that's the positive way to go about diversity. Yeah. Whereas, you know, Tilly just comes rolling in and like, I'm so great, positive all the time. Shut up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly. Tilly needs to be quiet. Okay. Does anybody else, I'm okay with it. Griffin DBK says, looking like a Russ Meyer film. Look at the way.
Dude, you would be.
Star Trek. Well, honestly, I mean, would it hurt the show to have some boobs in it? I don't think it would really make a difference. You know, let's have the Starfleet Academy OnlyFans episode, I guess. All right.
One of them's paying for Starfleet Academy by running an only hollow images site.
Literally addressed this in DS9 that it is a known problem. But nobody, that's it. They just kind of... All right. Time to transition out further from the final frontier to a galaxy far, far away. I know that I have teased and talked about this idea for some time, the Star Wars revival, and we sort of mentioned it a little bit a couple weeks ago when Corione was guest hosting. And I think that what we really need to do is decide. I think it's already decided, but let's actually decide it live. Let's talk it out, and let's see, like, how do we feel? And please, people in the comments, share your thoughts in the comments. Share your own thoughts, because we're gonna have I think we're gonna take the next the last 15-20 minutes here to talk about why we love Star Wars.
I mean, to me, the thing I love about it is George took what's arguably a tale as old as time, the hero's journey, and applied it to sci-fi, and then went, you know what? The problem with sci-fi is everything looks clean and happy, and you know, nothing looks lived in, and went, you know what? I'm gonna like dirty this up by like 60%. And it made it right. It made it feel correct. And it's poppy. It's blatantly ripping off Kurosawa. And you know what? The influences are very, very obvious. I mean, if you've ever read the book A Hero with a Thousand Faces, you'll know exactly where the plot is coming from. That being said, it's executed well. And it's done cleverly. And I think that's why it works. Because we all know the story. We've all heard the story. We all grew up around campfires hearing the story. but he took that tale, added some sci-fi pieces to it, made, you know, the various characters into the right components. Like, I mean, if you were realistically to look at the Lord of the Rings and you realize that Obi-Wan is just Gandalf with a laser sword and Frodo is just Luke, then the whole thing starts coming together, doesn't it? Right? Every one of these components starts meshing when you start realizing that this is just a tale we've told ourselves over and over and over again with a different coat of paint, but that's why it works.
Yeah, exactly. Simon Dust says Star Wars is ripoff. Yes, it's derived from you know, several different. At the end of the day, and this is the struggle that I came up with, because, you know, when I sat down to write, I was going to change everything. I was going to introduce new writing techniques and storytelling things that, and maybe one day I can still pull that off. But what I learned very quickly, and as my story grew, is that there's only so much you can change in a single book before you start losing your audience. What's up?
I just received some pretty heavy-duty intel.
Can you private chat it first if it's...
Oh, this can go right on the air.
Okay.
Bruce Campbell has been diagnosed with an incurable form of cancer.
Oh,
he's going to be pulling back from most of his day-to-day operations. It looks like the film he's working on might be his last one. And it looks like he's going to be focusing more on his health. It's incurable, but it's not a death sentence, apparently. So he's going to focus on, you know, figuring out how to live with it and still being as much the lovable and irreverent individual that we've known him to be. But yeah, I figured I'd let you guys know.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers, of course, with
yeah.
Bruce and his family. I mean, that is not a fun diagnosis to get at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, man, if you ever get the chance to go to conventions and meet your stars, you know, take the risk. Sometimes, you know, it could be good. Sometimes, unfortunately, like with Nemesis of Eden and William Shatner, how not so good. Yeah. Simon Dust says, I just got Zeus. Look, man, the reality is, and like I said, I had to figure, I had to realize this, you know, like, yes, there's ways that I might eventually try to change and you know, hopefully help make reading as exciting as going to the theater in the way that I can. But, you know, you've got to do things that bring the audience. And that's what Star Wars did. That's what George Lucas did, was instead of, you know, focusing on a super complex plot of, you know, the intricacies of good and evil and where the black and white and colors all fade to gray and blend. It was simply a story about hope, a story about overcoming impossible odds and doing what needs to be done. Dolly Lightwood says, this is sad news. I send him my best. Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, I've met Bruce Campbell. He signed my chainsaw. The dude is an awesome human being, really approachable, really fun.
Heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones out there.
Yeah. Starlight says, yes, I'm so excited about the new Ahsoka season and Mando and Grogu. I've got no complaints. I mean, since Kathleen's been fired, I certainly think that with Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm going into this with my expectations not super high. Mando Season 3 was just off the rails stupid. Not really having a consistent direction and just trying to get to, like, these major events, but sort of forcing them through the door, and it didn't quite land for me. Season 1 and 2 are still great. That's what I feel that we're getting with this new movie coming out, and I'm definitely going to give it a chance. But I think I need to go back. I think we all kind of need to go back to episode 4, 5, and 6, and then probably go through 1, 2, and 3. I started playing more Star Wars The Old Republic recently to help get back into it, because that's a game that has significant... it has a lot of significance in my life. Like, when I was going through some of my hardest times in 2013... That was the game that I just kind of went and lost myself in when I needed to escape. When I had to deal with my own other family cancer diagnoses at the time. So it's Star Wars it's always been a special kind of escapism because it took this idea that the traditional styles of combat, the ideas of knights and honor and you know, people that would take up the mantle to defend the less fortunate, not necessarily expecting anything in return, although, you know, there's a lot of questionability how they funded that temple. But anyway, there's a lot of wonder that Star Wars inspires, and yet what was fascinating was when I would write my fan fiction stories, when I would try to write and experience my Star Wars story, I always found myself writing a deconstruction of the universe. And basically, you know, putting this emphasis through this character's experience that, you know, the Star Wars universe isn't all it's cracked up to be in the end. It's still a very scary place. It's still real life. And I'm realizing that I was essentially doing the right way what Kathleen essentially failed to do, and pretty much failed upward and downward and couldn't even succeed in doing. Because I wasn't deconstructing Star Wars to make Star Wars look bad. I was deconstructing Star Wars to bridge the gap between fantasy and reality, to find that medium that made sense, that yes, I would put myself on the hero's journey going through Star Wars, but it's not gonna be this, okay, you know, you show up, you destroy the space station and you're the hero, it's the end of the day. It's, no, you do all of this stuff and nobody cares. The only people who give a shit are your friends. The rest of the galaxy is either going to be divided on, most of them don't even want war. And that's what I started realizing. I was writing this story was the Star Wars galaxy was essentially having a problem with itself. And you know, I think that the time is finally coming to where we can start having those stories again. Fun fact, my Shakti fanfic is my most read story on AO3. Nice job, Dahlia Lightwood. That's very good. Yeah, if you haven't checked out her work before, it is, honestly, just basically like reading a very well-done Star Wars novel with some extra sexy scenes would probably be the way that I would describe her work. It's very indulgent but dignified would be the way that I would say. It's categorized. But yeah, if you want to talk about somebody who also knows how to write Star Wars, it's Dahlia absolutely understands the universe and yeah, she knows how to write in a galaxy far, far away. Here's a link that is for 18 plus viewers, of course. So it's click at your own risk. Not that you will see anything bad, but the words, descriptions.
Yep.
So, John, what about you? What about so I think to summarize for me, it's got to be original trilogy, and then of course the Star Wars golden age of gaming, which was brought about by the prequel trilogy, are like those are the Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. That's it. And as far as Disney Wars goes, yeah, I will keep the Mandalorian season 1 and 2, Solo, Star Wars Story, Rogue One, and Andor.
Well, for me, I would say that's a pretty good number, but like, honestly, I like all of the Star Wars that has to do more with Star Wars. Like, I feel like the Disney stuff really has to do with trying to be Star Wars, but you can tell that. And honestly, it's like really whatever you're into. And so like I've already recently rewatched Mandalorian, Bad Batch, prequels, the Family Guy parodies of this original sequel or original trilogy. and all of the Robot Chicken Star Wars stuff. So, like, even in the time since we last discussed Star Wars, I've already binged a bunch of Star Wars. And will continue to do so, regardless of like what the show series is. And
That's
that's
the
what I
energy
mean
I need
by,
to be winding into.
like, especially when it comes to like stuff like Visions. Like, Visions is one of my favorite new ones that is out of this world because it's
Which has been renewed for season 4, by the way.
more. Right, season 4, but also that other one, was it Ninth Jedi?
Yeah, the
It's
show,
coming
the Ninth Jedi.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, these are all good Star Wars stories to get excited for, and I just, I kind of feel the same way Disney does, believe it or not. Actually, that's, yeah, pull up one last article here, because I posted it fairly recently. Where did I, no, that was, or did I actually put it in the proper category? It's like 1 minute I put stuff where it goes, the next minute I just shove it into everything.
Ha! That's what she said.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, I was going to pull up an article, but I think I have since misplaced it, or it was further back than I remember. But basically, Disney is unsure of the success of Mandalorian and Grogu. They're coming into it thinking that it's not going to be as great as they're hoping. And it's funny that that they said that because, oh, there it is. It's just different formatting. Piece of shoot. Oh, and of course the video disappeared. There it is. The world of real. Yeah. Disney is concerned about The Mandalorian and Grogu and more confident about Starfighter. No way! So am I! Yeah, I'll be honest. I think that Starfighter is probably going to be the one to really properly judge if Star Wars is back. Not saying it can't happen with Mandalorian and Grogu, but looking at the trailers, looking at the story behind it, I think it's going to be another, it's going to be a Star Trek Insurrection kind of movie. It'll hit the right notes, it'll be fine for what it is, but it's not really going to advance the Star Wars plot ahead. It's probably not going to bring a whole lot to the universe. It's probably going to be a lot of moments of, oh yeah, this is, the moment from this thing, and there. Just be ready and enjoy the ride is all I can say, and that's all I can really do. So, any last closing thoughts on Star Wars?
You know what? I'm looking forward to what a post-Kennedy future looks like. I'm looking forward to Maul. I'm actually more excited for Mando and Grogu than I am for Starfighter.
Okay.
But that being said, I kind of want to see them all.
I think this is our chance for the brand to recover, and I think that we'll do our part to help it because, like I said, it has a very special place in our hearts and our lives, and yeah, I think that's yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says Mando and Grogu is more for the kiddies. I think people are really burned out on Pedro Pascal. Yeah, because he's been in overcast and stuff, and yeah, wasn't really cut for. Yeah, I have to agree. All right, well, that brings us to the end of tonight's podcast. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe. We need to keep growing. We need to keep going. We need to keep adding more podcasts as we can. Hoping to get a Saturday show going soon. But that's, all in the works behind the scenes. Hoping to launch our, May the 4th anniversary or whatever thing if we actually materialize that. But it's probably just going to slowly change appearance over time here. I don't know. I want to thank Simon Does 64, Dahlia Lightwood, James Serta, Griffin DBK. I think that's everybody on the horizontal side, as well as, oh hey, Griffin DBK popping in twice on both sides, as well as Zebra Steak Barbecue. Thank you all for your comments, and yeah. Next week, I think we are finally going to crack open Star Wars Episode 4 and take a look, finally get out but I think we're just going to let's do one discussion for each original trilogy movie. I think that makes sense. Unless there's, of course, any objections.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Where do I organize stuff? Oh, yeah, right here. One of these days. But it was almost today. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your week. And hope you have a great weekend. I'm Petey. He's Poyo. That's Corione. See you when we see you. Good night. This has been the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast from the Writer Brothers. The Writer Brothers, restoring respect in a discourse. Good night.